Hi, my name is Amanda Medlin. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3, and I blog at amandamedlin.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Logic of English Essentials program, which is a multi-level reading, spelling, grammar, and vocabulary program for ages 8 and up. In front of me here I have the second edition, Teacher's Guide and Student Workbook, both in Volume 1. Volume 2 will be released in 2017. When you order the complete set, you'll not only receive these 2 books, you also receive a spelling journal, a phonogram and spelling rule quick reference guide, which is wonderful, basic and advanced phonogram flashcards, spelling rule flashcards, grammar flashcards, and morpheme flashcards. You also get these phonogram tiles, which can be used for building and spelling words. I could definitely do a better job at organizing these so we could get more use out of them. They're great. And our favorite thing are these game cards. You get them in Bookface, and then you can choose to also get manuscript or cursive. We have both because we've been using the Logic of English Foundations program for ages 4 to 7 for the past 2 years. So my boys have gotten good use out of these game cards. Today I'm going to walk you through one complete lesson of Essentials, which is broken down into 5 days. For the beginning of your teacher's guide, first 40 pages or so are teacher's tips and just basically an introduction to the Essentials curriculum. If you're new to Logic of English, I definitely recommend that you go through these pages because Logic of English takes such a unique approach of teaching you why things are spelled the way they are, and it's very thorough. So I think it's definitely good to read through those so you're familiar with that before you begin teaching it. On page 44, there's a placement test for your student. As I mentioned before, this is a multi-level curriculum, so there are 3 levels. So your student will take this placement test that covers phonograms, handwriting, reading, and spelling, and then they will place in level A, B, or C. My son Jack just finished Foundations D, and he is in 2nd grade this year, and he placed in level B. Right before you get to lesson 1 are 10 pre-lessons. Your student might place in one of these pre-lessons if they need to go over something a little bit more before they go to lesson 1, or if you've taken a long break, perhaps a summer break after finishing D and you need a little refresher. Or if you're brand new to Logic of English, I would recommend that you go through these pre-lessons. Even if you feel that they're a little basic, they are going to familiarize yourself and your student with the Logic of English way of teaching and really establish that foundation in which everything else will be built upon. So right now we are on lesson 7 or week 7. Also included in the set is this great quick reference of spelling analysis, 1-syllable words or multi-syllable words. So we use this as a bookmark and use it often. At the beginning of the lesson for the week, you'll see a box here which will tell you what materials you'll need, so you can pull those cards out, or you can just grab them as you're in the middle of the lesson like I do most days. So day 1 always introduces new phonograms, new concepts. These are phonograms that we are familiar with because we went through Foundations, but they're great to review, and especially now that Jack is 2 years older and he can kind of see how they're being used now that he's actually reading and spelling. It's just gaining more familiarity for him. So here it tells me to show the card. It truly walks you through the most basic steps. Show the O card. So I would show this to Jack, and then is O a consonant or a vowel? It is a vowel. What kind of vowel? It is a multi-letter vowel. So, and then O, U. On the back it'll give you hints. O, U is in toe, shoe, may be used at the end of English words. And then here, they'll often do kind of spelling detective with the kids. So you'll write things and then they'll look for patterns. So here you're writing words that end in OU or words that contain the O spelled OA, and then they're realizing when the different one is used. Here, this is orange. It is level C. That is something I'm skipping right now and plan to come back to that later next year or the next when he is at that level. Here, once again, it says all, so all levels. You can drill the phonograms with flashcards. There's a lot of games you can play, like Memory or Go Fish. There's also an app available which they can review the phonograms. So a lot of fun options there for reviewing phonograms. Aiden, my younger son, is actually in Foundations B right now. He's in kindergarten, so he's learning the phonograms for the first time. So a lot of times the boys will play phonogram games together for their review. Here we come down, once again it says all, and we're going to talk about a spelling rule. So this is fun. She gets into why we spell things a certain way. So this is talking about why are we using an O, such as in mother, when we're saying and she gets into a little bit of history there with the scribes when they were writing books and why they changed those U's to O's. And so we learn the rule that O may say in a stressed syllable next to a W, TH, M, N, or V. So that is a spelling rule in our language. And you have those great spelling rule cards that you can go over and read with your child. Then here, it's telling me, it's got the little green book here, so now it's time for them to get out their workbook. So page 97, and he can put to practice what we just learned. So if we turn to page 97, which is actually missing. I forgot there was a game on the back of it, which we ripped out to use. So, but basically he was writing the words and highlighting those O's and also the reason, the W, TH, M, N, or V, of why those O's were saying their lazy sound. So that is the end of day 1 in lesson 7. Day 2 is the day that you work on spelling. It's called Building Words. It always begins with a review for all, and it gives you options, some game ideas, perhaps a work page that they can review. Here you see this is blue, this is level A, so I can skip this because we are in level B, or I often will have Jack, he loves to do worksheets, so I will often have him work on those as a review page. Here I will be skipping that because that is C and we are not there yet. I come down here to all, and now we get out the spelling journal. I really love the spelling journal because it breaks down which phonograms to use. There's so many phonograms that say O. How do we know which one to use? Well, we have the O used at the end of the syllable, the O used in the middle of the syllable, the O used at the end of short words, or the O used in the middle of the syllable. So with the spelling journal, we go over those, and then he adds these words into the correct column of which one, and then he highlights that phonogram there. So this is something he will continue working on as we continue essentials, and he will build his spelling journal. On day 2 is also when you introduce your spelling words for the week. And what I love is these are not just random words chosen, but these are words that are using all of the phonograms we're learning and the spelling rules we're learning, such as here, address. One of the rules we just recently learned is we often double F, L, and S after a single short or broad vowel at the end of a base word. And then O, we have our long O that's used in the middle of a word. So we've got all of these spelling words, and then they will also play a part in the upcoming lessons as well. So we go over these words. If your child needs help, we have the great way of breaking down words, and it's numbered here, a reference of how to break them down into syllables and then segment out the sounds. And so that's great if your student is struggling a bit in spelling. And the spelling list is the end of day 2. And as you see here, there's a spelling list for each level, color coded. So you have blue for level A, green for level B, and orange for level C. When you come to day 3, once again, you'll begin with a review, and then you get into grammar. Day 3's theme is words in context. So we've been learning about nouns and adjectives and articles and conjunctions. And so this day he uses his workbook a lot more, and he goes to his spelling list that or his spelling words that he just wrote out yesterday. I can find it. Sorry about this. Okay, here we are. So here's the spelling list from yesterday, and he will go and identify the parts of speech, and if they are a noun, he will write the noun in its plural form. He's also learning about non-count nouns like spinach. But spinach is the plural of spinach. And we also have been talking about articles, and so if you go to page 102, you'll see where he got to identify when we use the article a versus when we use the article an. And we have grammar flashcards to help us remember these. The article a is used only before a consonant sound. The article an is used only before a vowel sound. And gives examples of those on the back. We've also been identifying, or as we've been identifying parts of speech, we've been not only identifying them in a list, but in phrases. So I love that the curriculum uses his spelling words in grammar as well. So he's not having to write spelling words every day to learn how to spell them, but he's actually using those spelling words in all of his other lessons. And so he is reading them and writing them over and over without simply just copying them in a notebook. So day 3 ends with dictation. I will dictate phrases using his spelling words, and he will label the parts of speech. And he's also been learning about commas in a list of 3 or more. So that's putting that to practice as well. Day 4, words in action, once again begins with a review for all. Here we get to blue, so I'm going to skip that. That's level A vocabulary. I'm going to go here to level B vocabulary. We're learning a suffix, so I can go to my morpheme cards. We're learning ness, and then he has the chance to work on these, adding suffixes to these adjectives to form a new word. And then at the end of day 4, once again I dictate phrases which involve his spelling words, and he labels the parts of speech. Each week pretty much follows this rhythm. On day 5 is a kind of assessment. It is where we check our understanding of the things we learned this week. So it usually begins with dictating phonograms. We haven't done this yet, so dictate phonograms that he'll write from memory, marking his vowel sounds as short, long, or broad, identifying spelling rules here, and then instead of a spelling test, you dictate phrases, which all include the spelling words, but also include articles and commas and words in their plural form. And then after he writes those phrases, he goes back and labels the parts of speech. And that would complete a week, one full lesson or 1 week of lessons. I'm blogging a few more thoughts today on my review, and if you have any questions about the Logic of English Foundations or Essentials, please leave me a comment and I'll be happy to answer those questions if I can. So thank you for joining me today.